Tension is looming between Azimio team and the Kenya Kwanza team as far as the planned demonstrations on Tuesday is concerned. Raila team had complied with what is envisaged in the constitution, and they notified the police as is required under Article 37 that gives every Kenyan freedom of peaceful picketing and demonstration. But today, the Nairobi police boss, Mr. Bungei, banned the planned demonstrations, and he declared that no one would be allowed to stage any demonstrations in town. Because a while ago, the minority National Assembly leader, Opiyo and I, had announced to the nation that they will stage demonstrations on Kenyatta Avenue, Moi Avenue, and Harambee Avenue. But Mr. Bungei is saying that nothing of such will be allowed to happen within the city. He also declared that they had consulted with the Inspector General, Japhet Koome, and that same instructions had been given to all the police heads around the corner, and not even a single demonstration will be witnessed in Kenya. But the Raila team has said that they will not be cowed, and that with all the threats, including the assassination attempt against Raila Odinga, will not bar them from conducting their constitutional mandate. And with this, ladies and gentlemen, there is a looming tension. Mr. Bungei is saying that the Azimio past demonstrations were marred with the destruction of private and public property, and that it even resulted in many deaths. And I found those statements very fallacious, because we all know that Azimio declared that their demonstrations were going to be conducted in accordance with the law. And in many occasions, it is the police that provoked the Azimio supporters when they were going on with the peaceful demonstrations. The law is very clear under Article 37 that as long as the demonstrations are peaceful and the demonstrators are not carrying any weapon, then what the police needs to do is to provide security. And so on this, Mr. Bungei is lying, because we all know that it was the police that was on the wrong. This is coming against a backdrop of very many anxieties. One, this is not the first time we see Bungei coming out with guns blazing and breathing fire to ban Azimio rallies. The first time he did this, we saw a very divided security within Kenya Kwanza, because hours later, the Interior Cabinet Secretary, Mr. Kithure Kindiki, came and contradicted Mr. Bungei, and he said that Azimio has got every right to stage demonstrations as long as it is within the law. So even as we speak, Kithure Kindiki has not spoken, and we are waiting to see whether this time round he is going to back the statements of Mr. Bungei, or once again he is going to come up to contradict in broad daylight what Mr. Bungei is saying. But the demonstrations that we are going to witness in Tuesday is one of a kind, because very many things have transpired after the last demonstrations. Raila Odinga is going into these demonstrations with a lot of backup. Number one, we have seen leaders who had not been seen in the demonstrations coming up and saying that they support Raila's bid to liberate the country. The former Mombasa governor, Joho, came and declared his support for the demonstrations, and he said that this time round he's going to lead and Raila will follow him in the demonstrations. We have also seen the resurgence of Maina Njenga, the alleged Mungiki leader, supporting these demonstrations. We also saw Mwangi Wairia breathing fire, that he supports Raila Amolo Odinga and that they will be leading demonstrations in Mount Kenya. So we have seen several of them. You could talk of Elekenta, Charity Ngilu, and so Raila Amolo Odinga is regrouping his soldiers, and this is why these demonstrations is going to be one of a kind. The demonstrations are also coming against the backdrop of Raila's letter to the ICC, the International Criminal Court. Raila had accused the police that the police had a bad intention. Instead of offering security as is envisaged in our 2010 constitution, the police injured his supporters, killed some of them, harassed journalists, and that letter was written, articulated, and the ICC acknowledged receipt of that letter. And I saw after that letter, the Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua, was breathing fire and declaring his support to the Inspector General. The Inspector General, Japheth Koome, in turn said that it was the Mary community that was being targeted. So even as we go for this second phase of the demonstrations, people are waiting to see how the police is going to react, because in that letter, Azimio included the police who died, who was run over by their own colleagues and died in Kisumu. Then the police, instead of being honest, said that it was killed by those who were demonstrating in Kisumu. So we believe that even though they are talking tough, that letter is going to act as a regulator. I don't think they're going to use mad force as they did, because if they do that, then they will be confirming what Raila had alleged in that letter, because the ICC will still consider that letter and what is contained in it as mere allegations. So if the police goes ahead and use excessive force on Azimio supporters, then Raila Amolo Odinga will be proved right. It is also coming at a time when William Samoei Ruto himself warned Raila Amolo Odinga and the team that it is time they understand that he is the commander-in-chief and that he's going to use everything within his powers to stop the Azimio demonstrations. It is not also lost on Kenyans that prior to the suspension of the Monday mass actions, Rigathi Gachagua had warned that had that demonstration taken place, then Kenyans would have seen what was going to be the last attempt of holding any demonstrations. In fact, he had not very kind words to the Azimio, something that experts interpreted that the government was either planning to assassinate Raila or to arrest him, because before that there had been an assassination attempt with over 10 bullets directed at Raila's armored vehicle. And if that vehicle was not made in a special way to prevent such attacks, it would be a different story. Maybe Raila would be dead. And of course, we have several Azimio supporters, victims of excessive brutality from the police, who are still cooperating in hospitals. And Raila said that one of the things that they must talk about in the bipartisan meeting, he wants the government to meet the medical bills of these people. So, ladies and gentlemen, with this, the country is tensed because we have a determined Raila Amolo Odinga and a determined William Samoei Ruto. William Ruto says that he must show the Azimio that he is the commander-in-chief, because he has termed the reintroduction of this mass action as economic sabotage, and he feels that Raila Odinga and the team does not want him to succeed. According to him, he feels that Raila is staging a sabotage so that by the end of the day, Raila will tell Kenyans that there is nothing that he has done. But Raila and the team are saying that what they are talking about are pertinent issues, and they are saying that Kenyans are still feeling the pangs of hunger. The cost of living is still high, and Raila has insisted that he wants the servers to be opened because he believes he won the August elections. William Ruto also fears, because they had revealed to the nation that Whenever Raila holds demonstrations in one day, they lose over 2 billion Kenya shillings. And you all understand that the situation in Kenya today is very dire. They were unable even to pay the civil servants, and they say that it is because whatever the little that they get is going to the loans that were left behind by the previous regime. So if Raila will go ahead with these demonstrations, I can assure you that even as William Ruto says, the economy is going to be crippled. Already, teachers have given a notice of a strike notice. Doctors have given a notice of strike. The county government has also they gave 14 days because they have not received money from the national government for 4 good months, from January, February, March and April. So William Ruto is staring at what I can call an economic crisis and a shutdown in the country. So if you add the demonstrations, the economy is going to be further crippled. But one wonders why William Ruto cannot just decide one day to invite Raila Amolo Odinga so that they open this server, because what is really worrying everyone is Raila making unfounded allegations? Who really won the elections? And why is William Ruto afraid of opening the server? They say that it is the prerogative of the Supreme Court to allow opening of the server. In the interest of the nation, why can't Madam Koome just say they should hold just a meeting and say that we open this server? We've also had allegations of Jose Kamago trying to tamper with the server, but we will know that once it is opened because there are footprints. And so William Ruto and Adamson Bungei must not interfere with the constitution, not unless they want to suspend the constitution and rule without the constitution. Otherwise, the constitution allows a dissatisfied Kenyan to go peacefully without carrying any weapon to the streets and demonstrate. If they are not careful, they are going to escalate this to a level that they will not manage, because Kenyans are still suffering and they are being asked questions, a very simple one. Instead of trying to use excessive force, why can't you just open the server? Ladies and gentlemen, that is where I end. Why can't we open the server?